Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I'm Ryan Bolin. Thank you all for joining me. So, as you all know, the Marvel slash Disney Plus movie, She-Hulk Attorney at Law, has been mutilated by the social media for being a woke disaster. This is what they said about this. Now, I've listened to clips from the show. I have listened to some of the dialogue. I've seen some of the scenes, and it's pretty bad. It's pretty apparent that this is a feminist attack. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to read this article, and I'm going to analyze this article as we go on, because it's really hard for me to stomach some of this stuff. But looking at it, I can read a radical feminist from like 1,000 miles away. Okay, so let's get right into this article. And it begins. Viewers took to social media to mock the first episode of Marvel Studios / Disney Plus new show She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, for being a woke feminist disaster. And it's interesting to me that they have this Disney Plus. I wonder what that plus is supposed to be for. Addition. You know, of course, plus means addition. But I can't help but look at this metaphorically, because it should be minus. Disney minus morals, minus values, minus making real TV shows and real movies. Plus could be a metaphor for adding wokeness, adding radical feminism, adding transgenderism, adding sexually explicit material. In that sense, yeah, Disney Plus. But that's just my opinion. Let's go on. In the show, based off the Marvel Comics, attorney Jennifer Walters, who is a cousin of Bruce Banner, also known as the Hulk, also transforms into a Hulk after she gets into a car crash, because some of Banner's blood falls into an open wound on her skin. After becoming a superhero, which she hates, Banner tells her that she needs to work on controlling this new part of herself, informing her, quote, the triggers are anger and fear, to which Walters responds with a self-important feminist tirade. And now the whole idea of, she responds with a self-important feminist attitude. That's Derek's opinion on it, but I'm going to read to you what she said. I've actually listened to her words. I've saw the clip for myself, but I have the actual transcript here. So I'm going to read this. Those are like the baseline for a woman just existing, she says. I mean, why would you even respond like that? That makes no sense to me. What is that supposed to be about? Here's the thing, Bruce. I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I do it pretty much every day. Because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult or mighty, or might just get literally get murdered, end quote, which makes no sense to me. That's just not true. And of course, we know that this is a character in a movie. Okay, this is a character in the movie. Okay, so, but let's be realistic. Movies and entertainment influences the way people think and act. Okay, there's no need to even arguing that. Movies and entertainment influences the way people act, even more so than politicians. The real strength of our society is pop culture, because pop culture is emotional. It gets into the emotions of the individual. It makes you feel a certain way. You add all the music and the colors and the lights and all of these things, and it causes people to feel a certain way. In this instance, you may be asking, what does that have to do with what she just said here in this scene here? Because clearly the way I see this is that this is a feminist tirade. This is a feminist rant. Okay, because she says, here's the thing, Bruce, I'm great at controlling my anger. First of all, her reaction doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense. Those are like the baselines for a woman just existing. What do you even mean by that? She said, what does that even mean? You know, she said, I'm great at controlling my anger. I do it all the time. When I'm catcalled in the street, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me. And clearly what I think she's saying here when she says, when incompetent men explain my own area of expertise to me, I'm assuming that her being an attorney at law or whatever, and men that she considers to be incompetent, trying to explain her area of expertise to her being an attorney. But notice what she says. It is incompetent men. That's what radical feminists think men are. Radical feminists do not like men. Now, I don't know who wrote the screenplay for this. I don't know who wrote the screenplay. It could have been a male. It could have been a female. But even if it was a male that wrote the screenplay for this, that doesn't mean anything, because you got a lot of men that support radical feminism, which to me is weird. I can't help but wonder how much money these men are getting paid, because you're supporting a ideology and a worldview that hates you and wants to replace you with what they call the patriarchal head. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. They want to destroy men and get rid of men because they believe that men is the destruction of this world, which makes no sense, because without a man, they wouldn't even be around. Men are the ones that carry the sperm. You may carry the egg, but we carry the sperm that fertilizes the egg. Even if you get it through artificial insemination or whatever, the sperm is not created by scientists, Dumbo. It comes from a man. Let me go on. So this whole thing here is clearly a feminist attack, because she calls these men incompetent that supposedly are trying to explain her expertise to her. She says, I do it pretty much every day, because if I don't, I will get called emotional or difficult, or might just literally get murdered. That's a lie. That's a lie. So she goes on. So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you. She adds, doing her best bobblehead impression to show just how deep that rage and everyday microaggressions go. Really? So I'm an expert at controlling my anger because I do it infinitely more than you? Infinitely more than you? How I see that? You should see the scene where she starts changing into the She-Hulk. She's supposed to be controlling. She's supposed to have control over this anger infinitely more than David Banner, right? But yet you start changing. So if you have greater control over your anger, then why would you change into the She-Hulk? Isn't the concept of changing into the Hulk based on anger anyway? Let me read some of these tweets, man. You gotta hear some of these tweets. One tweet says, "Can't wait till she tells Daredevil how privileged she is." She talks about privilege and so forth. And let's see some other things here. There's a picture of her standing next to this shelf with a bobblehead doll of Michelle Obama and some other person. I mean, I'm like, and got some other stuff, bad ASS women, and this is ridiculous. One tweet says, "Pray for me as I make it through this." Hilarious. Another tweet says, like 5 minutes before this, she literally hulks out and attacks 3 guys who were saying things like, "What's up? We're just being friendly." Dudes weren't even catcalling. Then it turns out she was conscious of the attack, unlike Bruce when he hulks out. Lady is nuts, which makes sense, because let me say something about this. He says that she turned out she was conscious of the attack, meaning, of course, obviously she knew what she was doing when she attacked him, which suggests to me that if she knew what she was doing when she attacked them, that is the hidden aspect of radical feminism, because radical feminists hate men, in whatever way they need to do to annihilate men, they will do so, if they even have to physically attack the man. But of course, radical feminists are not going to do that, because physically they're weaker than men, so they got to get in men's head or demonize men among sane women by putting them down and making fun of them and making them out to be weaklings and only sexually driven clowns or whatever. This is what they have to do. But clearly in this scene, as this As his tweet says, turns out she was conscious of the attack, unlike Bruce when he hawks out. Lady is nuts. She's conscious of this, I believe, because inwardly, based on what the writer has put in this character on the show, not the comic book, because I heard about the comic book, the character in there is likable. And the show, this was put in there, in my opinion, because they wanted to say in an indirect way that this is what radical feminists actually want to do. They want to consciously destroy men, not just metaphorically. They didn't. The writer is like saying, in my opinion, we don't want her to just black out. Okay, we want her to be conscious of beating up on these guys. Okay, that's really what radical feminists want to do. They want to physically beat up on guys, although they know they can't do that. They don't have the physical strength to do that. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. But it's just crazy. Let me just read you a couple of more tweets here. Let's look at it. Let's see. And this is from a woman by the name of Kathy Young. She says, I have to control my anger anytime I see this. She said, I have to control my anger anytime I see this. This is a woman. Oh my God, we're victims all the time? BS. Being peddled to women who have more advantages than most humans who have ever lived could have possibly imagined. And that's all I'm going to read right there. You can read the rest of that article and the rest of those tweets on your own free time. But this is clearly, in my opinion, in my assessment, a radical feminist rant geared towards destroying the reputation of men and putting men down and all this kind of stuff. And I just don't understand getting with it with the Disney plus, Disney minus. Okay. I don't understand why the Walt Disney Corporation is constantly putting out this kind of stuff when they know they're going to be horribly criticized, when they know they're going to lose tons of money. Why would you keep producing this kind of trash? Nobody wants to watch that, dude. They don't want to watch that. Even women don't want to watch that because most women don't think that way. They don't think that way. They don't act that way. Now, is it true that some men can be sexist and controlling and manipulative? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. I see it all the time. I work around people like that all the time. But I mean, what are you going to do about it? You know, I mean, and the character in this, the character, I'm pretty sure some of you have seen her. She's not all that attractive. She's talking about, I get catcalled, but she's really not all that attractive. Now, I know I'm not no Denzel Washington or anything like that. So, but I'm just being realistic. If you see the image of the woman, she's not all that attractive. Okay. So it's like, what are you being? I can't help but ask, who's catcalling you? You mean dog calling, wolf calling, dog calling, werewolf calling, but it certainly isn't cat calling because she certainly doesn't look like someone who'd be like, woo, look at you. You are hot. Woo, gosh. She don't look like that to me. You know, I'm like, come on now. And it's interesting. It's interesting to me. It always seems to be when it comes to the radical feminists that rant and rave about men and how much they hate men and how men are sexist and how men are this and men need to be this and that, all the other. It seems weird to me that usually these women, these radical feminists that rant and rave about this type of stuff they aren't really all that attractive. It's almost as like they're looking for someone else on the outside to love them because most men don't love them, not necessarily because of how they look, but because of their character, their attitude. But then these radical feminists don't pay attention to what they're doing because here you hating on men in general, period. You're hating on them and you're not all that attractive. Well, what kind of love do you expect to get from anybody? Really? If you get rid of all men, who do you have left? Who do you have left? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy how it is. But to me, in ending this video, this is clearly a feminist rant. And once again, Walt Disney keeps pushing his woke nonsense. And for whatever weird reason, they don't seem to catch it that no one wants to hear this and no one wants to see this. I don't understand. I don't understand the philosophy. But I will end this video on this based on my lack of understanding why they keep doing this, why Walt Disney keeps doing this. Some time ago, I was reading an article or reading somewhere, I cannot remember where it was, but I was reading that someone, far left radical filmmaker said, no matter what, if we lose money and people mock us and we lose money, keep pushing it anyway. So what this person was saying, and I can't remember who said it, I can't remember what article I read it from or what book I read it from, but I remember them saying that. So what this person basically saying is that we can lose all the money. Our ideology and worldview is so important that we can lose all the money and popularity that there is. We got to push this agenda because it's so utterly important. It's interesting the perceptions that these people have. It's interesting. I believe personally that they're deceived and delusional. But they're sincere. They really sincerely believe this. But I believe they're delusional and they're deceived. Because they honestly believe that no matter what, we need to push this. We got to push this into the minds of the people. But it's backfiring on them. It's backfiring because the vast majority of Americans, men and women, are not that dumb. That's just my words on that. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. God bless you all, and see you again.